Hey everyone out there, hope everyone's been doing okay in recent times. Um, I'm not really too sure what I'm going to be talking about today. I just thought I felt like making a video. There's certain feelings that, I have and perhaps many of you have that, you just feel like you can't really describe what those feelings are, but, sometimes just talking through them is very helpful in helping you understand like you know what might be happening within yourself, within your being. um, Today's one of those days. I don't know, it's just I think I think this is a kind of culmination of all of the events that's been kind of happening in the past weeks. I mean, it's just this sort of, I don't want to keep on talking about the same thing, but just this feeling of confusion, this feeling of not quite knowing, not quite seeing a point in a lot of the options or things to do in your local area, or seeing people for that matter. um, it's recognizing that, because we're the human mind, we you get to a point where you realize that everyone's been programmed, even yourself. Like, it's going to take me a lifetime to deprogram what's already been put into my mind. I mean, I'm speaking the English language. That's limiting in and of itself, but just to see how malleable human perception is, and for us being like an emotive, mental, perceptual creature whose actions largely is succeeded by the thoughts and emotions that precedes the action. um, it's like the level at which causes occur must happen within the mind. And perception is not objective reality, but perception is all we have, and you can either choose to align yourself closer to the objective world, or be led down deeper and deeper illusions and lies. And it's, I've been very careful these past few years in what information I put into my mind, or that I allow to put into my mind. I barely go to, I live on the outskirts of London, but I barely go into London itself, um, mainly because of, the main reason is that there's not really that much to do. I mean, I've been to bars, I've been to clubs, I've been to raves, I've done all of the stuff that supposedly, young people are supposed to do. And I don't really find it that great, to be honest. I don't really know what the big deal with all of that is. I want to create something, but it's so there's all these things that everyone hypes up. There's all, sports, for instance. That's a big thing. You get an English geezer over here who would have their entire week ruined when their sports team doesn't win. And that just plays on the kind of need for some kind of tribalism, except that the tribal disputes are not actually carried out in the real world. It's more proxied through sports, and that's just, I don't need to explain what sports is. It's just another one of those distractions. Just like, it seems like everything else is here, but like even the things that are supposedly claimed to do something to make a difference, to I don't know, like you got like spiritual charlatans, and I kid you not, like I just don't even bother like going to events related to spirituality and whatnot, mainly because probably 95% of the stuff there that they discuss in terms of the intellectual aspect of it is some stuff that I've heard before, or that I already know about. And secondly, it's there's a lot of charlatans there who make a big buck, or seem to integrate quite well by just carrying out, new age fallacies. The biggest one, the thing that pisses me off with them is is the fact that they never concentrate on the negative. Now, obviously, you can drive yourself to unhealthy degrees of neuroticism through a constant attention on the negative, but if you don't concentrate on the negative, they think that you empower it by concentrating on it. No, like you're disempowering yourself. If anything, you're empowering the negative by not looking at it. And there's this general vibe that I get around these spiritual hippie types, who just, they wear, I've got like a little my mate Enki, he lent me, or he didn't lend me, this is the first piece of hippie gear I've got. I know it looks pretty old and tattered, but I quite like the worn out look. But they would wear, they would deliberately go out and buy stuff like that, and it just, it's like an external, appearance of whatever you want to call it, spirituality. And then you realise they use spirituality for selfish ends. They'll use it to manifest material stuff, money, relate to relationships. It's never like, there's this degree of inauthenticity about them. I mean, not all of them, of course, and you're more likely to meet people who are level-headed, but hardly. I mean, I think Enki and some other guys, they're the only two people that I know in real life who have some degree of, well, because I don't know. I don't know with certainty what I'm saying, what my views and opinions are in terms of their accuracy, but there's a certain degree to which you should be able to express ideas to people before hitting their egos, before the cognitive dissonance kicks in, and then without them knowing, they immediately shut off some piece of information, not because you're threatening their ego, or not, that's not what your intention is, but because they perceive it to be a threat. It's like, I was just saying to one of the people who I do business with, who's I tolerate being around this person because he gets the whole COVID-19, the virus stuff, how that's kind of flawed, but kind of everything else he's not really that interested, and more interested in taking on the assumptions, because they don't, for some reason everyone's so busy doing things that they don't have time to apprehend, to comprehend what is going on in their environment. And it's just based on what the culture has told them, what people have told them, about what humans are, who we are, and what this place is. And I feel like I'm repeating myself. I said it all before, but it's all assumptions. It's all like, how do we actually know that the values given to us, that's been it's just been handed down from on high, how do we know that they're sound? How do you know that they have any foundation? How we tested them? I've tested them, and they're bullshit. And I can't even have a conversation to that deep of a degree in order for someone to disprove me, because I'm open to that. I want to be wrong about how I see the world. I want to be wrong, but I've not met anyone who at least hasn't come to these conclusions. I haven't met anyone with a counter argument who can counter these observations I'm having. And the observations, this objective, is seeing the world impartially. And I think there's a place for emotions with regards to providing a motivation to get something done, but you know, when emotions cloud your ability to see, and they apply wishful thinking to see the world with rose-tinted glasses, that's not good. It's not good at all. So I just, you know, it's like I force myself to go out because I'm a naturally extremely introverted kind of guy. For, you know, just because I still think that, you know, I still think that there's potential to connect with people, but you know, it's extremely rare, and you spend a lot of energy, and then when you're pushed back against the corner, into the corner, because you know, there's loads of things I can do. You know, I had everything going for me with regards to how the system would view me to be a very nice cog in the machine. You know, I had a well-paying job. You know, everything was going well. You know, I was like university educated. You know, I was very much in between the lines. I was very much, you know, a kind of, you know, in the eyes of society, I guess that must have been good. But there's no soul in that. There's nothing of substance. I mean, what are you actually what any of these professions, all of these gears that make up the machine, they're fucking bullshit. There's nothing going on about them. You know, you just grind away and you do one thing. You compartmentalize your mind. You don't gain access to all these other subjects. You know, there's so much to learn. There's so much to see. There's so much to experience with your direct experience, to not be proxied through some kind of media organization. You know, because there's so many sources of information, and then, you know, it's like, I guess to some people it's overwhelming, so you just make the assumptions. But I want to know. You know, I don't care how dark, how dire this reality is. You know, I don't care. I want to know what's actually happening. And this is, I think this is how, you know, people like us, we can, what we've taken in would cause the average person's minds to explode, or they'll enter into some kind of a mental breakdown. And it's a mixture of curiosity as well. You know, this is a very strange place. Very, very strange that this is even happening, that we're speaking through this, you know, that we're connecting all around the world. You know, I'm speaking to this, I'm not actually speaking to you, I'm just talking to a box right now. Like, I can see my face on the screen, and this is just an electronic portal in a sense, but it's the information that matters. It's the information that gets carried forth, and we're all informational at the end of the day. Like, DNA is information, and that sequences a form, but you know, what we see in the material world is just the effect of some kind of data, some kind of information. So yeah, I mean, I feel like everything seems to be fucking pointless. What do you do then? Do I just sit here? I mean, I'm not quite comfortable just sitting here. There's only so much nature walking you can do. You know, I want to do something to, I mean, it's kind of strange that, because it's like a lot of the steps that we're taking have been in the direction to try and change the current situation, because I think any sane person who can just understand what's happening to the human race, like, no one wants it to be how it is. This is just ridiculous. This is a joke. Like, this is actually a joke. like what's happening now. I mean, and I say it's a joke because you reach a point where that's the only thing you can do. Just laugh at it. It's fucking hilarious at this point. Like, there was times like a few years ago when I'd spend entire weekends just crying in my bed. It's not good. It's not good. But I mean, it's just I don't know. And I don't really know what to do right now, other than try and create things. But even that, I've nearly completed this animation that I've done, which I'll share soon. I don't think it would do much, but it's the only thing that I can do with my hands to imbue spirit into matter. That's how I see. That's what I think creation is. You become less comprehensible to the machine. The machine can't create. The machine just replicates. That's what Look at all the ancient civilizations. Look at Sumer, ancient Egypt, the Greeks. Look what they did with their architecture, and look at ours. At least in the last 100, 200 years. Look at ours. It's just grey boxes, just fluorescently lit cubicles. Just ear-wrenching, the ear-wrenching vibrations of cars and motorcycles and beeps, and these, everything smells like a plastic, everything smells fake. It's just, and then the way people treat each other, it's just, everything in the business world is so fake and inauthentic. I when I worked a corporate job, I couldn't stand the salespeople because I could tell that everything coming out of their minds was out of their mouths was bullshit, because you're not able to perform a job like that if you haven't trained your mind in such a way to be persuasive. It's all smiles on the outside, but then you just take one step. You take one step into what constitutes the supposed values that they have, and the whole house of cards comes falling down. I mean, that's just pathetic, if you ask me. One step, at least for the people who I've had experience with. And I admit, like, sometimes I make generalizations about groups of people, which isn't which I would admit is not something that I'm particularly proud of. But also, generalizations and stereotypes exist for a reason, almost archetypally. But it's just, I mean, do I just sit here and breathe air, eat food? You get up, brush your teeth, take a shit, eat food, then, I don't know, maybe if the day's nice, go and do some exercise, maintain the body, stretch the body, I don't know, get a haircut. I probably need to get a haircut soon. Shave, which I haven't done. If you're a guy, that applies to you. If you're a woman, then I'll say you're pretty lucky in that area, at least for your face. It's like we're doing stuff to just perpetuate this whatever this is, and then we have biological impulses to reproduce, and then cause this thing to happen again. And then I asked my parents why I was born, and the answer is because we felt like it was the right time, because we felt like it. Well, what is that feeling? What is that feeling? I mean, the only explanation I can give is that some autonomous aspects of us that's been built into this informational construct, causes two avatars to come together to create another avatar. But in terms of your true self and like what that actually, what even is that, you know, I think that's kind of incomprehensible to my true self. You know, and then it's like our minds are so fragile, so manipulatable. You know, they're just bombarded chemically through the media, through social pressure, and I feel that social pressure all the time. Yeah, I don't give in to it, but I can't get rid of it either, because you know, it's not, you know, like I said in previous videos, it's not healthy to be isolated. We are, you know, we are social creatures. I certainly can't survive by myself as much as I try to, and I put myself in situations where I can be less reliant on people. So for the sake of, you know, I can't really trust people who haven't even taken a second's thought in what they're actually doing, and how they can just be so complicit in doing the same thing again and again and again. You know, because they've been given some kind of carrot on stick that there's this idealistic, I don't know, Western dream, or the American dream, which seems to have permeated across the world, which it's just that, it's a dream, isn't it? You know, and then you've got like, you know, I mean, my generations and the next generations like preceding mine is, you know, we're going to be the least financially stable generations, in at least in relatively recent history, just because of how the banking system's set up. And then you have people saying, you know, you've got these fucking ignorant boomer types. I'm not saying all of them are ignorant, I'm talking about these particular types of the boomer generation who say, oh, you know, when I was your age, we were, you know, I was looking into getting a mortgage, you know, I had a car, you know, it was all good back then. Look at you, you know, you still have the rent. Or a lot of you guys, you know, I rent, I live by myself, but you know, I know most of the people my age, you know, they're living with their parents still, and you know, I guess I don't blame them. I mean, I couldn't really live with my parents any longer. I felt like I wasn't, I couldn't develop myself as a man into, to discover that for myself without my parents' influence, and you know, to do certain things by myself. But you know, a lot of people are still dependent, like, on their parents. You know, but then you get these people saying, you know, we were doing all of the stuff you seek to do in 10 years' time when we were your age. And I'm thinking, mate, you let this inflation happen. You're the ones who caused the situation. And do you even know yourself, like, why that's happened? I'm giving you the information here. And it's just like, the face goes blank, deer in the headlights kind of look. But blah-de-blah, blah-de-blah, we all know about the NPCs. What else could it fucking be? I mean, what if that is conscious? I'm not trying to... It's not personal. It's not personal at all. I'm talking about information here. I'm talking about how things work on a mechanistic level. You can't... I mean, one of the things I've observed in soul people, so they have a lot more control over their emotions. At least the emotion plays out like a program, as the bodies are predisposed towards stimuli, and there's certain equations that cause us to react in certain ways. But someone with soul, someone with an internal observer, is able to critically analyze and observe the 3D avatar experience and to modify it sometimes. No, it takes the emotion, processes it, and is able to not be as drawn in by the ebb and flow of the conditioning. You know, these robot types, they just feel the emotion, and to them that's reality, because their perception is their reality. It's the only truth that can exist. The ego is this thing that just tries to perpetuate itself, because that's an entity in and of itself. We are multiple selves. I like to work with my ego, but the ego is at the behest of my soul. So I use my ego as a conduit to invert this inverted place. So yeah, like, what do you do once you've reached this point? And when you're here, it's very isolating, extremely isolating. I mean, there's no one who gets it. There's no one who wants to debate you on it. They can't even get to that point where they can debate you on it. I said before, I'm not trying to say that I have all the answers, but I want friendly discord. I'm not looking to attack anyone. That's the non-aggression principle. So yeah, I don't know. So I think the only way forward is creation, novelty, just trying to do something here. It just can't keep going on like this. And I've spoken about parallel society in the previous videos, which is where I think, like, personally, I think this society is completely, like, going off the edge of a cliff, and there's really not much we can do about it, merely because of the fact that there's such little soul here. So the few of us that are here, we might be able to create a small island of sanity in some kind of parallel society. I don't know how that would form, or I think it would just be an organic thing that happens, really, as this place becomes more and more hostile for us to live and exist in. We'll be kind of forced into that situation. But just like it seems to me that, like, these cycles of creating a grand civilization and then its eventual demise via what's the word when you overindulge? I can't think of it right now. There's all these cycles that play out throughout history, and if we made a parallel society, the same thing would happen. I think you'd initially have some degree of sanity, and then it seems that I don't know whether the soul imbues itself with the body at random, or whether it's some kind of genetic predisposition or something, but eventually this Wetiko mind virus and its capacity to obfuscate your own insanity and make you think that your insanity is sanity because of some group effect or some energetic blockage of your perception, to not be able to notice the shadow aspect of yourself that you project outwards, and then you attack that as if it's something that's objective in reality, when actually it's just based on some kind of trauma program that's been seeded into your minds because of how toxic this society is. Stuff like that would, the mechanisms that we're talking about here eventually comes through because, like, you create a parallel society based on principles, based on values, based on objective moral laws, and then it eventually becomes culture. And then you know what happens once it becomes culture? It becomes a cult you are in. Because you'd always have people who just follow the culture religiously. I mean, culture is a religion, government is a religion, no different from the church that used to rule over most of Europe, the world. It's just, how do we escape this cycle? And I don't think humans in their current form is capable of that. And there needs to be some. We need to evolve into something else. Our minds. It takes a lot of energy just to have deep thoughts, have deep emotions for prolonged periods of time. Profound amounts of energy. I mean, and to just do something, to create something, takes a profound amount of energy. And it's so easy to fall into lethargy and to fall into all of this. Everything. You look at everything that's being presented to us as something, as a false salvation that's going to save you, and it's just a quick fix. It just makes you feel good in the short term, but there's no substance there. There's nothing that it's just humans eating themselves. It's cannibalistic. It's just keeping this pleasure thing going. But how can you not get that in creating something of meaning, of value? The amount of satisfaction and pleasure you get from it is far greater, 1,000-fold. And you can't. It's so hostile. Like, you can't go out and buy healthy food. There's junk food everywhere. It's fucking nuts. Everyone's getting ill. The pharmaceutical industry is having a blast selling allopathic drugs. What happened to homeopathy? Oh, I forgot. Rockefeller and his was it General Medication Board? I can't remember what it's called. He kicked out the homeopaths. It's obvious, duh. It's obvious. If everything else is based on the business here, everything else is about the bottom line, why would you not think that medicine's like that? But people don't think that medicine's like that, because they barely understand basic things about the body. I'm no biologist, but I know that smoking a cigarette whilst you've got a mask, like, hung down, but you're still wearing it, but you've got like a little gap, just so you can stick that cigarette in. Why the fuck would I trust you? You're giving me medical advice from, because you feel confident with your information, but that information is given to you by the BBC, the British Brainwashing Corporation, as I like to call it. It's just a joke, clown show, freak show, Hall of Mirrors, fucking Twilight Zone place we live in. I don't know what to do. The only thing I can do is create things, so I'm trying to do that. But no, I mean, I think this has happened before in the past. It's just been, history is not what we're told it is, and I can't say what it is now because I haven't done the research myself, and I think a lot of you will probably know more than me in that area, but it's most certainly is not what they're telling us it is, because everything's inverted. Why am I going to listen to them? Obviously it's inverted now, because everything else is, so why wouldn't that be? It's like, the human mind is just this amalgamation of, at least the ego is just this amalgamation of programs, and we've got to be so careful with what programs we allow into our minds now. This is a war. This is a literal war. I mean, they could drug you up, they could do anything to you, and they will completely change the foundations of which you perceive the world. I mean, scopolamine, for instance, like that's a delirium that causes people to be submissive and mind controlled. They've got in South America, it's called Devil's Dust, and criminals blow it in tourists' faces and get them to empty their bank accounts. I mean, it's just, chemical agents have the capacity to do that to such a large extent. I spoke to Enki last time. I didn't even know that organic food wasn't even organic, and I looked into it a little bit, and yeah, you get cross-contamination with pesticides and herbicides and fungicides, but they don't, just because it's organic doesn't mean that that doesn't encompass the heavy metals that's basically all over the world now. So it's like everything, even this, I'm drinking black tea right now, it's not organic black tea, it's filled with fucking pesticides, herbicides, just to get a little bit of green tea, black tea leaf alkaloids and a little bit of caffeine and some, you have to, why is it like this? This is ridiculous. Like, why do you get attacked for pointing this out? I mean, I know why. I'm just saying that. I'm just saying it. But this is ridiculous. Like, what am I supposed to do? I don't know, guys. But hang in there, okay? Hang in there. Hang in there. Just laugh it off, because it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Keep creating, keep doing what you was put here to do. We're not even gonna. They can go off and do their own thing. I'm gonna do my thing. Alright, peace everyone.